Hey guys, welcome to this training on everything you need to know to build a seven-figure pipeline from LinkedIn. My name is Deepak Shukla. I'm the founder of multi-seven-figure agency Pearl Lemon. And today we're going to be talking about everything you need to know when it comes to why LinkedIn, if you're not working on it, is such a massive opportunity and some of the interesting insights into it. So over the course of at least the next 10 videos that are all going to be probably between the 15 and 20-minute mark in terms of length. We're going to be going through LinkedIn in general for lead generation and why, if you're sleeping on it, you should wake up. And we'll be talking about that today. But they're going to be talking about your profile and optimizing your profile to make it look as attractive as possible. In line with that, we're then also going to be talking about the ideal customer profile. And then based upon that, what you need to do in terms of adjusting your actual account. Then we're going to be walking through targeting as you're getting ready to set up to potentially do outreach. Once we determine that, producing LinkedIn content for your news feed ahead of doing outreach is going to be really important. We're then going to move to talking about building your actual network. So the people that you should accept connection requests from and who you should keep in mind when you build your network in almost a passive way, but also with some intention. We'll then be talking about, given that we've spoken about targeting, we'll be going through outreach copy. What does copy actually look like in terms of how effective should it be? What terminology? Then we'll be talking about the technical actual setup for outreach, because there is a process to it. There are some technical elements involved. People don't go into enough detail with it, and we'll be talking about that. We'll then be talking about building a reply framework, because you get replies that come in. How do you manage those replies? How do you get ultimately people to a sales call or really to a sales call? Then you can close them over the phone, so to speak. We'll then be going and talking about fundamentally cross-channel selling, because the sale may start on LinkedIn, but it will never end on LinkedIn. So we're talking about how to use LinkedIn as part of a wider framework. And then we'll be talking more generally about scaling a LinkedIn campaign. If you're thinking about, for example, using multiple accounts, using multiple personas, looking at multiple industries and some of the things that are involved. So that's what I've got on my list of 10 videos at the moment, 11 videos, I think, in fact. So let's get into it. So look, LinkedIn for so I just want you to think about it first of all. So when it comes to any network or any platform that's got the largest amount of people that actively want to engage from a business standpoint, that has decision makers who are in business, it's LinkedIn. So if you think about the return on investment that you get from producing content on LinkedIn, you're going to get a significantly higher quantum of ROI, 5 to 1, 7 to 1, than producing content for any other platform. So this video will more than likely, for example, go on to YouTube, pardon the irony, but you really should be looking at building via your profile a whole engagement strategy as well as brand growth strategy from LinkedIn. You can do millions from LinkedIn. There's plenty of influencers who are making millions from LinkedIn. We've banked over £500,000 from LinkedIn. So if you're not really thinking about LinkedIn as part of your framework, then you really should be. What's interesting about it is that you can, if you think about targeting, you can target founders, you can target managing directors, you can target CTOs. You can use it as a platform to enter markets that you have no right or rhyme or reason to originally be in. So think about that. So I'm now, as a simple example, I'm recording this video whilst I'm sat in the countryside in Italy. I'm actually in a village that's probably got less than 1,000 people. And yet at the same time, if I wanted to, within a few clicks, I could actually launch a campaign in Peru, in Lima, specifically looking at managing directors who are English speaking in Lima. I could then switch and transition to looking at, for example, Cairo in Egypt. I could move to Maine in the US. Do you see what incredible ability the LinkedIn has from a targeting perspective? There's not really any other medium that it's so ultimately easy to switch countries, to switch cities, to switch fundamentally industries, and then go after a really set type of kind of prospect. And that's the advantage that LinkedIn gives you over and above any other platform. And what's amazing about it is that people that are already active on LinkedIn are looking to engage with other people. It is a networking platform, and that's what makes it very different from, for example, cold email. Cold email is cold in that fundamentally it's unsolicited email to a degree. Now, I've got a whole training program on cold email. I recommend that you go and check that out. We'll put a link in the description, or just go onto the channel and search cold email. But in any event, with LinkedIn, before fundamentally someone can engage with a message, you have to accept your connection request. And once they've accepted your connection request, it's the equivalent of an email subscribe. I'm signing up to your newsletter. I'm accepting your connection request. I'm accepting some messaging that will come from you. So it really presents a brilliant opportunity to then engage with that prospect. What's more, is that people don't think about, and I've already fundamentally considered a whole new bucket for these videos, which we'll go on to talk about, which will be SEO for LinkedIn. So what I mean by that is that if you fundamentally produce relevant enough content, if you look at the right decision makers, you can actually use LinkedIn as an inbound marketing machine. So one of the biggest things that people tout about LinkedIn when it comes to LinkedIn for lead generation is fundamentally outreach. Okay. I can set up an automation using the various bots and tools out there, sequence that will drop my messages into someone's LinkedIn inbox, into their Sales Navigator mobile app, or onto their desktop, depending upon where they use it. But also, you can use it as a pull mechanism. If you are able to identify your target decision makers, so maybe you, for example, are a supplier of beverages. Maybe you produce the latest and greatest alternative to Coke, and therefore that decision maker in Lima, because you want to enter the South American market, getting into Lima because there's a particular distributor who has access or provides a gateway to many other major distributors or retailers within South America, maybe that's the way to do it. And LinkedIn can not only give you the ability to target that person via literal direct messaging, if you build a specific network into your ecosystem, produce relevant content, you can then have people coming to you. Now, as ever, one of the things that's important with this platform is consistency. But before we get to consistency, it's also just, I mean, LinkedIn has millions of users, right? And they are growing from a social aspect. They've grown from a social aspect because there's a lot of people that are producing content on the platform. You can go live in certain areas, and LinkedIn also tends to rank quite well in Google. So there's all of these opportunities that are available to you via LinkedIn. So if you're not yet considering it for lead generation, then you really should be. If you're not really considering it as part of an inbound content marketing platform, then you really should be. And that's really I mean, it's such an interesting point, isn't it? People would traditionally typically think about their website as being the de facto portal where you want to generate inbound leads. But you can also use LinkedIn to produce inbound leads, because LinkedIn, much like Google or Bing or Yandex or TikTok, all of these are platforms. All of these have a huge amount of UGC, user generated content, which means that there's lots of engagement based upon that content, and based upon how you optimize your profile and you build a network, which can be done via links when it comes to Google, which then help you raise your ultimately profile through the algorithm to the top, and then also your network strength when it comes to LinkedIn, and the engagement of your network and people that are a second degree to your primary network, how they engage with your content. That can help LinkedIn propel and push you through the algo. So that means I know people that are doing, I mean, Ryan Durrani is the guy that I think of, and he makes three to £400,000 a year, no outreach, just through inbound LinkedIn messages that come into him. How? Producing incredible content, having a really clearly defined ICP, and then ultimately building for that network. So now, what often gets lost, or what often happens when I see a lot of the content that's out there, you can check on YouTube or otherwise, people focus on the outreach aspect of it. Great. How can I send a lot of messages out? But they don't consider the perspective of the inbound side of it as well. So when you're able to combine the two, you can get such incredible returns on the platform. And LinkedIn, much like many of the other UGC platforms, but more specifically some of the social platforms, is also offering options to become a, for example, top voice on the platform, to have content that goes viral, to ultimately drive engagement through comments, likes, and reactions to said content. So There's all of this opportunity that's available to you. And if you're able to leverage it, invest in it, especially from a personal brand perspective, as well as company, there's a significant amount of upside that can come from being on LinkedIn, the largest B2B networking platform on the planet Earth. And it may be the case that you know LinkedIn, you've tried LinkedIn, LinkedIn's not worked for you, and all of these types of things. So again, we go back to when it comes to ultimately how to get the biggest ROI. So it's continuous investment on the platform, it's continual tweaking and optimization on the platform, it's modeling to a degree what people or competitors or direct competitors or people that you want to emulate are doing on the platform. But then within that, there's also some truisms that stand true irrespective of platforms that I want to also communicate with you when it comes to LinkedIn, which is if you produce quality content, if you are really thoughtful and intentional with how you build your target profile, persona, person, individual, industry, company, and if you combine that with thoughtful outreach, great content, which is the fundamentals of how to build an inbound as well as outbound hybrid marketing machine, you're going to be a winner. You're going to win. And very few people are willing to do the work that's required to fundamentally commit to any platform, okay? Any platform. And by the way, I include myself in that to some degree because I've discussed this before, but to be successful at any platform or profile, show me someone who has consistently posted content, for example, or produced content for 365 days. Ideally, we want that person to be you. And if it is not you, then what it means is that you need to take your level of input and effort to that next level. And LinkedIn is a platform that's waiting to be won. It doesn't take, so if you think about, for example, everyone's optimizing for a Google search, or you might be optimizing for a large language model or AI, Gemini or ChatGPT. Optimizing for LinkedIn then isn't as competitive as optimizing for Google. So the investment of time and the return that you can get on that investment is incredible. So that's where outsized returns really come into play with a platform such as LinkedIn. Because think about it. If you consistently post quality content for 90 days, and that's 15 minutes a day, right? 90 days, 90 times 15 is something to the effect of 900 is 1,400 minutes, which isn't a lot at all. It's probably 600, 1,200. It's 24 hours of actual work. You can then, as a consequence, win 50 to 200,000 pounds back in return. So think about what great leverage that is. You invest 24 hours, okay? 24 hours, which is 2,400 minutes, okay? Or rather, sorry, 1,200 minutes. So you invest that 1,200 minutes, which is 20 hours. And for that, you can get a 100,000 pound plus return. That's an incredible return on investment. You're looking at more than fundamentally 8x, 8 12s are 96. So what's shocking, and this is the beautiful part, is that most people aren't willing to make that investment. Most people aren't willing to go to that ultimately extra level to get the return that they want from that platform. And probably what has happened is that if you've had a bad experience with LinkedIn, you've not put that effort in, you've not had that consistency, or the teams that you've worked with have not had that energy and consistency for LinkedIn. So that's why LinkedIn is such an incredible platform when it comes to lead generation and even B2B, B2C, B2G, business to government. You can, with enough thought and intent, you can target fundamentally all of those areas. We've used LinkedIn to help a tennis company generate an inflow of leads for individuals who are fans of tennis. We've helped ultimately a plant-based dark kitchen grow their subscriptions for individuals as well as small businesses through LinkedIn. We have done PR through LinkedIn. We have helped investment firms. We've helped a whole range of companies through LinkedIn, and we use it heavily ourselves as well. So there's a huge amount of opportunity on LinkedIn. You can use it in a whole variety of ways. And with some effort, with some investment, you can get considerable return of investment using LinkedIn. So that's what I wanted to communicate today. Get on the LinkedIn bandwagon and stay tuned, because today we spoke about LinkedIn for lead generation in general. We're going to be talking about, just to recap, profile optimization, search engine optimization for LinkedIn, your ideal customer profile, targeting, producing LinkedIn content, building your network, outreach copy, technical setup for outreach copy, building a reply framework, cross-channel selling, and a scaled LinkedIn campaigns. We're going to be talking about all of these in the coming days. Get involved, get invested. LinkedIn can be absolutely huge for you.